Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about how I got an A star in French or in languages GCSEs. I just want to share with you how I got it. There isn't really much else to say. First of all, languages are a skill, which is why I'm doing this video now in March.
It's April now because I keep procrastinating editing.
3 months before your exam, so that you don't if I did this video in May per se, then it would be of no use to you. Since languages are a skill, you can't cram for your exam, so you should probably start kind of revising now. Basically around this time you would start to practice. It's not conventional revising, you make notes, blah blah blah. To get the grade you want, you should probably start practicing your language or practicing writing and listening skills and things like that. In this video I'm going to be going through tips, how I prepared for the oral exam, how I prepared for the writing exam, and that's basically it. You have to take interest in your language, and it's easier said than done, and especially if you don't really like the language and you're taking a language at GCSE because you have to, then it's kind of difficult. It's easier to be immersed in your language if you're looking at things that you like. For example, you can look up news articles that you like in the language you would like to be good at GCSEs in. What? That doesn't even make sense. You can listen to French songs. I'll link some French songs down below if you're learning French and you would like to listen to some groovy tunes, you know. Just learning about the culture and the news and things that are going on in France, and listening to news stories and stuff in French. Especially if you're interested in those things, that's a really good way to be immersed in your language. And I think being immersed in your language is such a good thing because it kind of switches on this other brain that you have. By listening to these French songs, and you can train your ear to be able to make out French words. Reading a French word is one thing and hearing it is another, and it takes practice to be able to hear a word out. For example, with French, there is liaison. There is things, for example, les and animaux. You would say les as les. Maybe I should do it this way. Les and animaux. Les, L-E-S, you would just say les. Animaux, you would just say animaux. But because animaux starts with an A, which is a vowel, then you would have to say les animaux. And if you were listening to that, you would probably be like, what is animaux? You just have to train your brain to listen out for these kinds of things. It just takes listening to your language more and more to train your ear, basically. Reading is also very important. I've noticed that people who read in their target language get better at their target language a lot faster. If you go to my school, which you probably do, there is a language section. There's loads of French books, and there's easy books, there's difficult books, there's Tintin, which is a comic book, Roald Dahl books in French. I have this book called Le Petit Nicolas or something like that. It's a children's book, so the level of French is not way too hard like a piece of French literature would be. Also, one tip I would give you, when you're reading those kinds of books, I wouldn't advise you to look up every word as you go, even though it might be tempting to. You might be confused at a word and you just want to look it up and put it in your vocab list. I know I'm like that, but I've read somewhere that it's better to not do that, so that you can use your brain to figure out what that word means in the placement of the sentence. And usually, with English, you do that as well. You don't go and look up every single word in the dictionary when you read a book. So it's the same with French. Try and figure out what the word means within the sentence. Then you could keep a little post-it note at the back of your book. Just note down anything that keeps coming up that you want to look up in the dictionary. So yeah, listen to podcasts, read the news, watch the news, listen to the news, listen to French songs, find French YouTubers. I'll link some below too. And just be immersed in your language as much as possible from this point on, just to keep your bilingual brain going. Also, vocab. Vocab is important at GCSE, but not as important. You know, now that I've gone to A level, I realize how important vocab is, but vocab is still important in GCSE, and it can make or break your listening and reading scores. Even if Quizlet and Memorize are boring, you can just take out a little bit of time during your day just to practice and immerse yourself again. Also for listening, This Is Language is great. What I usually do is I would maybe almost every day, of course I don't do it every single day, but like every other day or every few days I would get one This is Language video and do all 4 activities, which can be really good. At GCSE, you should probably be aiming for level 4 or 5. I think 4 stars is a good level to be at. So yeah, it's like a great tool. So if you have it, then use it please, because I think it's a really good tool. Okay, so I'll just tell you about my oral exam, how I practiced and everything, because my teacher sent me questions in my topic areas that I chose. There were 3. I would write the whole answer, write it out completely on a Word document, send it to my teacher, and he would send it back. Like, he added loads of phrases and like subjunctives and things like that. So I made Quizlet sets so I could have them wherever I went. So like if I was on the bus to school, I could just scroll through them. Basically, one side question, the other side answer. It's pretty simple. Like, you write out the answer in whole. That's kind of an ineffective way if you just do it like that. So one way I did it was, my teacher told me this way actually.
It's Eunice from the future interjecting because Eunice from the past couldn't explain all the concepts well enough, so here I am re-explaining them to you. Okay, so basically you have a sentence like that you've kind of memorized. You now want to test yourself, so you don't look at this and then you go je ne pense pas que ce soit blah blah blah, and then you keep going like that. And maybe the second time you do it, you might be like je ne pense pas que soit, and then you can find that you've missed out this one, and then you can learn to remember it next time. Cool, thanks.
Because if you write it out, it's too slow for your kind of like speaking brain. But if you write out each letter, then it's a good way to like practice. Another way I learned my thing was I had this like just sheet of white paper. I would write it in small. In English, I would write question, and then I would read through the answer I wrote down. The answer. A bluebird. Oh my god. Anyway, I keep getting so distracted. So you would kind of single out either key complex phrases, so like bien que ce soit, for example. Single out the most important facts in that chunk and just write out keywords. And then I found that that was a good way to help remember the content of my answer instead of remembering like each word, because if I learned the content well enough, then I could probably fill in the gaps with something else and it would sound more natural. But it was like a little piece of paper. I don't know if this is part of the method, but it was like a tiny little piece of paper, like not even A4, and I fit like my entire topic area into this like tiny sheet of paper, and I would write really small. And I don't know if like that was part of the method or anything, but it worked, and maybe it can work for you too. In the week leading up to your oral exam, I would advise you to practice that thing so many times and just like go through it in your brain loads and loads, and even try to like think in French, because I remember the weekend before my exam, my oral exam, I remember by the end of that Sunday I was like thinking in French. Like when I was thinking like yes, I would be like oh oui, and it was weird, like I never kind of felt that way before. It just took like practicing it a lot to get your French brain on. I keep referencing this French brain and I feel like it's like real, like you kind of switch when you're in the French brain, but I don't know if it happens with you too or if it's just me. It's also worth just knowing some set phrases in handy for your like oral exam, like bien que ce soit is a good one. Il n'y a personne qui puisse nier. Some that are like complex with subjunctives, or like the après avoir writing exam. So my teacher gave me a pack of every past paper since I don't even know when. I did lots of those and I gave them in for him to be checked, and he would give them back and I'd get feedback, and then I would register that feedback in my brain. I learned set phrases that would impress the examiner, like some with subjunctive, après avoir, peser le pour et le contre, pour qu'on puisse, il faut qu'on fasse. These are all subjunctives. Because subjunctives aren't required at GCSE, it could be really good to like set yourself to be like higher or like above the rest and get that A star. But make sure your like things are also grammatically correct and checked through and are accurate, and make sure you hit all the content marks. You should aim for like 3 points for each content point. Get the content marks Also, one thing that my teacher always tells me to do is so I can cap. So for C clause, O for opinion, I for indirect speech, C connectives, A adjectives, N negatives, C comparative superlative, A adverb, and P pronoun. So basically that's like a checklist that you can go through and you can just check things off as you go. You can make your own up if you want. You can add subjunctive in there, you can add gerund in there, you can add anything you would like, but so I can cap is the one he gave me and it worked for me in the exam. So also it's worth going through each tense and how to form each tense before your exam, just so you like get it solid in there. Try and remember how to form each tense, the endings, the stem, irregulars, and things like that. It also might be worth doing some grammar exercises on languages online just before your like writing exam, because that kind of tests your grammar and your skills. I don't know. But yeah, my main points are basically be immersed in your language from now, basically. Practice, practice, practice to get your French brain to switch on in your exam so I can cap. I hope this helped you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And I'll probably see you very soon with like a Tokyo vlog or something. No, maybe I already uploaded that. Yeah, anyways, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.